What is your name and how old are you?
My name is Doug Keffler, and I'm 74 years old.
What is a quote or motto that you live by? Explain why.
Um, I live by, uh, or try to live by, thing that Jesus said is that you should love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, and your mind, and your strength, and love love your neighbor as yourself. And I like to carry that through, especially to my family.
How has that quote or motto shaped who you are?
It helps me to be less crabby. There was a time in my life when I was crabby and had a bad temper, and I have been able to bring that under control. And I only yell at my grandchildren when I'm kidding around.
What did an average day look like for you growing up?
Um, we had horses, and part of my chores were to go to the pasture every day and feed the horses. There were three, and also my dad was a contractor, and so I started working at a pretty early age, and so my average, I still got to play sports in school and things like that, but I always knew that I had to work for Dad whenever I had some spare time.
Who would you say is your role model?
That's hard. I want to say Jesus, but that seems too easy. Um,
So this doesn't get sent to insurance.
I will have to say Jesus because I can't come up with it. My mom was a great Christian role model for me.
What is a key memory from your life that contributed to you growing up as a person?
When my first wife died, I had to face, I was less than 30, and I had to face maturity real. I started wearing a motorcycle helmet, quit smoking, and did a lot of things for the children that I might not have otherwise done if I had my wife would have stayed alive and been able to help me. I probably would have been a little less mature throughout my middle age.
Is there anything that happened to you that you wish that you could change? Explain why or why not.
It'd be easy to say that, but I have thought about that. And I don't think that I would want to change anything, because if I changed something back then, it would change what's now. And I'm pretty happy with what's now.
Tell me about one challenge you faced and how it affected your life.
This one I hadn't really thought about,
Ada?
but again, it's probably being a single parent. It was kind of, my wife had been sick, and she knew that she was seriously sick, but I never believed it. And when she died, it was a shock for me, even
What'd you
though
say?
I knew she'd been sick for several years already. And as I said before, it just made me grow up, even though I was an adult when it happened. Made me become more mature and I bought a 4-door car instead of a 2-door.
What is a value that your parents taught you?
To do the right thing. My dad was he wasn't as much of a Christian as my mom, but he was real strong into doing things the right way and honoring, um, honoring, living his life that would be the right things to do. He didn't drink much, and he was very faithful to mom, and vice versa. Um, it didn't show much because that didn't happen back in the 50s and 60s, but they were very devoted to each other.
What advice would you give me as I go into adulthood?
You should, when you decide to do something or you think that something looks fun, you should consider the future consequences of it. That's something that I didn't always do, and as there's a country song that has a quote in it. The man has grown up and become an adult with kids. He comes home from work and takes some time out with the kids and tries to teach them right from wrong and hopes that they don't have to learn it the way that he did. I guess that's something that I would advise you. Follow your dad's way of life and not your grandpa's.
How are things different for kids today from when you grew up? One good and one bad.
Well, kids today have things such as phones and electronic devices, and we had one TV and 3 channels. We have 4 TVs now, and so we played more games, and I think that was good. Although we got bored easier and caroused a little bit, that we maybe, I still see kids doing that nowadays, but that's, it was easier to be bored. But then I learned to read, and and we used to play games at home, and whenever people came to visit, of course we still play games now. So. And I think that the good thing was that we had to use our imagination more, because we didn't have a lot of the things that work on it for us the way kids do nowadays.
Yeah.
So did I do the bad thing already?
That was good. Perfect.
Okay, good.
What was it like to start working, and how old were you?
That one I don't have a problem with, because I didn't really realize that I was starting working, because I was working for my dad I was pretty young when go get that hammer for me, carry those boards over here, and I didn't have to be very old to start doing that. I just went with Dad and did things he told me to do. So I didn't really even realize that I had started working. And it was kind of strange when I was 18, 19, and I got an outside job. And people that I worked with told me that I worked too hard, because I worked as hard as I did with my dad, and they were just working by the hour, and they wanted me to stop working so hard because it made them look bad.
Well, thank you for doing this interview with me. It's been I've loved talking to you about it.
Yeah, it's made me think about stuff, and you know, you guys are my life. Of course, Grandma's in the way there a little bit. All right, we're done, huh?